What is cost behavior and how does that relate to managerial judgment? So to start with, cost behavior is a form of analysis where you attempt to identify the specific activities in an organization or behaviors of individuals that relate to a particular cost. That is an item or expense on the budget that you've identified where you have to allocate these resources. Okay, the more closely that you can identify the activity or activities that are attributable to or give rise to this cost will allow for additional managerial decision making with regard to how you allocate resources to specific tasks and how you manage those costs going forward as part of operations. Now, generally, the cost behavior analysis is a function. It's the linear or curve-based function where you're mapping out your changes in cost based upon changes of a given behavior. And you can use the traditional formula for a cost, the mx plus b being the where the curve crosses the y-axis and the m being the slope and how that changes. Now, with that being said, how does that relate to managerial judgment? Well, managerial judgment comes in terms of looking at what costs to analyze, identifying the behaviors that relate to that cost, because in any analysis like this, you have the dependent variable, which is the cost, and the independent variable, in this situation, the behavior that you choose. So which behavior you choose to test or to modify and see how it affects the dependent variable, the cost, is a subject of managerial judgment. You have to be able to identify which cost is the one that's relevant. And again, it's a judgment because you have so many different costs that could, or excuse me, behaviors that could relate to that cost. Now, should you choose a single cost or a single behavior or multiple behaviors? How should you relate or segment the individual cost associated with that behavior? Because oftentimes a single behavior could give rise to some portion of cost in different groupings. So again, how you categorize or group those as dependent or independent variables. Another aspect of managerial judgment is what type of cost method or assessment method do you use? How do you identify the changes in cost for that variable? There are several different methods. Two of the most common are the high-low method and then a regression analysis. The high-low method is the simplest, is the most straightforward. You would simply look at the changes in cost, the highest cost over a period of time and the lowest cost with regard to, and then the number of hours or what other unit of measure you have for the behavior that gives rise to that cost. So if it's hours worked and you have a cost of $100,000 for 5,000 hours worked and $50,000 for 600 hours worked, you would subtract the cost and then you would subtract the hours to get the difference, and then that would give you the relation of what is the difference between, once again, the change in cost between the number of hours between those two. So it would kind of give you an understanding of, if the number of hours changed, how much would you expect cost to change? Okay. A more sophisticated method is the regression analysis. And the essence of a regression analysis is you're bringing back different occurrences to a line of best fit, right? Everything gravitates towards that line of best fit. So you're trying to find what falls within a given range with some level of consistency. What percentage of outcomes are generally going to fall within a given range? And the regression is amazing because you can change one variable and you will see how it affects the other variable. So in essence, it's a very good tool for analyzing changes in one aspect to another in that way. And there's also the ability to use multiple variables there to see the effect of changes on multiple variables. In this case, behaviors in one time, the effect that that would have on cost. So anyway, choosing the method for assessing the cost changes, again, is a subject of management discretion and decision making. So that is generally how management judgment relates to a cost behavior analysis or determining cost behavior.